All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into some seriously life-changing stuff from the one and only Jim Rohn. Now, he had this incredible idea. What if your life is just a puzzle? A puzzle with 5 major pieces. And if you figure out how those pieces fit together, you can literally take charge of your own destiny. Sound good? Let's jump right in.
Let's kick things off with a question that Jim Rohn loved to ask, and I want you to really think about this for a second. 10 years from now, you will arrive. That's not up for debate. But the real question is, where? Are you going to land in a place you intentionally designed, a place you're proud of, or are you just going to kind of drift there by accident? That's the question that sits at the heart of everything we're talking about today.
And you know what's wild? The answer is shockingly simple. Getting to that dream destination versus the one you just end up in, it's not about some giant one-time heroic effort. Nope. It all comes down to just a handful of small, daily disciplines. Tiny things done over and over and over again that make all the difference in the world. Our guide on this journey is, of course, the man himself, Jim Rohn. And his belief was powerful. You already have access to everything you need to change your life. He said that just one good idea, one single aha moment can be a total game changer. It can completely shift your path. So let's unpack the big idea he gave us. And here it is. This is his master framework. The 5 major pieces to the life puzzle. You've got philosophy, attitude, action, results, and lifestyle. See, his whole point was brilliantly simple. If your life feels off, if things just aren't clicking, you can almost always trace the root of the problem back to one of these 5 spots. So let's start with piece number 1. And honestly, this is the big one, your personal philosophy. This is the bedrock for everything else. Jim Rohn had this perfect analogy for it. He said, it's like the set of your sail on a ship. You can't control the wind, that's life, right? But you absolutely can control the set of the sail, and that is what determines where you go.
So what exactly is a philosophy? Well, put simply, it's what you know. It's all the stuff you've collected over the years. The information, the ideas, the values you've picked up from books, from people you admire, from your own life lessons. The stuff you choose to let into your head, that's what's steering the ship. And make no mistake, what you don't know, it will hurt you.
And this is where we face a really fundamental choice. Rohn put it this way. We all have to suffer one of 2 pains in life. There's the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Think about that. Discipline, it's that little bit of effort up front. It weighs ounces. But regret, man, regret is the crushing weight of looking back and thinking, what if? And that weighs tons.
And why is that? Because life is always accumulating, right? It's compounding. Every single day, every little choice, every thought, it's all adding up. So you're either building up the equity, the value of a life well lived, or you're stacking up that heavy, heavy burden of regret. And guess what decides which pile you're building? It all comes back to your philosophy. Okay, so once you have your philosophy, your direction, how do you actually get moving? Well, that's where the next 3 pieces come in. Think of them as the engine of your life. Attitude, action, and results. These 3 are completely linked. They take the where from your philosophy and give it the horsepower to create real-world momentum. You can see how it's like a domino effect, a causal chain. It all starts with your philosophy, right? What you know. That directly molds your attitude. And we're not just talking about being happy. We're talking about how you truly feel about things, about yourself, about the future. And that feeling is what powers your actions, what you actually do day in and day out. And of course, what you do determines the results you get. It's a straight line. If you don't like your results, you can't just change your actions. You have to go all the way back up the chain.
But let's be careful when we talk about action, because Rohn gives us a huge warning here. It is so easy to mistake movement for achievement, to be busy just for the sake of being busy. You gotta ask yourself, am I just spinning my wheels, or am I actually making progress toward my destination? The key isn't just movement, it's disciplined, productive action.
And for a great model of what that looks like, he would talk about the ant philosophy. Think about it. How much food does an ant gather during the summer for the winter? Just enough? Nope. An ant gathers all it possibly can. It doesn't settle for good enough. It goes all out.
And that's the mindset we're after. Doing all you can, not just what it takes to get by.
So how do you know if your actions are actually working? Simple. You look at your results. Rohn used to tell this great story about a master who gave his servants some talents, which was a measure of money. And this one servant, he was given just one. And what did he do with it? He got scared, so he went and buried it in the ground. He took zero action. So when the master came back and asked, "What have you got to show for it?" his result was still just one. He didn't lose it, but he sure didn't create anything with it either.
And that story perfectly illustrates why your results are so important. They're your report card. They don't lie. They're the ultimate diagnostic tool for your life. You know, if a farmer doesn't like the harvest, he doesn't sit there and blame the soil or the weather. No, he looks at himself. He looks at his activity, his attitude, and if he's smart, he traces it all the way back to the beginning, his philosophy.
All right, now we get to the final piece of the puzzle. And in a way, this is the most beautiful part of it all. This is the payoff, designing your lifestyle. Because see, the whole point of this exercise, it isn't about getting more stuff. It's about becoming more.
Rohn always said that lifestyle is an art. It's not an amount. It has nothing to do with how big your paycheck is, and everything to do with how you choose to live. It's about learning to live well, to consciously design a life that's full of joy and meaning and unique experiences that matter to you. It's a skill you develop, not a number in your bank account.
And this really gets to the core of it all. The ultimate goal of this whole journey, it isn't the fancy car or the big house. The real prize is the person you have to become in the process. The discipline you build, the character you forge, the skills you learn, that's the real treasure. Because, as he famously said, it's not what we get that makes us valuable. It's what we become.
So when you finally put all 5 of these pieces together, it's a total transformation. You go from being a passenger, just kind of drifting along wherever life takes you, to being the architect. You're the designer. You're holding the blueprints to your own future. And that shift in perspective, man, it is unbelievably empowering.
Okay, so now we've got the puzzle pieces laid out on the table. So what now? Where do you even begin? Let's talk about the very first, most practical step you can take today to start fixing the next 10 years of your life.
The whole journey really begins with one single powerful question you have to ask yourself, and you have to be brutally honest about it. You just have to stop, get quiet, and ask, where are my thoughts taking me? This current set of ideas I have, this philosophy, if I don't change a thing, where am I going to end up in 10 years?
So here it is, your first actionable step, straight from Jim Rohn. He would challenge people to literally take out their calendar and schedule a "do not kid myself anymore" day. Just one day. A day where you drop all the stories, all the excuses, and you just look at the cold hard facts of your life. You deal in nothing but the truth, because that truth, as tough as it might be, is the only thing that can set you free to make a real change.
And let's end with this final, powerful idea from Jim Rohn. Look, the past is done. It's settled. You can't change it. But the future? That's a wide open book. And you have the power, starting this very moment, to make those small tweaks to your philosophy, the little changes that will completely redirect where you end up in the next 10 years. As he would say, now is the time to fix it. Thanks for tuning in to The Explainer.